How you doing everyone? I'm Jake and this is Rave Vinyl Reminiscence, the channel where we fan the flames of our passion for early hardcore. You've tuned into an episode which follows on nicely from our journey through my early rave memories in the last video, remembering those early outdoor parties and those killer tunes being played back in 90 and 91. In this episode I'm putting together another killer mix and sharing some more key memories, painting a picture for what many consider to be the year for hardcore and for the rave movement energetically. We're stepping into, or back to, that golden time when the huge outdoor events were aplenty and the music was literally bubbling from the creative cauldron. It's 1992. Good to have you back, thanks for joining me. Lots been happening in my world, as I'm sure there has been in yours. Life keeps us on our toes, doesn't it? But I'm smiling. And I'm excited to share these tunes and great memories with you today. We've had a little upgrade on the Wheels of Steel since we were last together. A long-standing member of our little community, who's been here pretty much from the start, Jason, very kindly had a pair of slip mats made for me as a gift. Thank you again, mate. Nice thought. I appreciate it. So we're going to take a little tour back to 1992 in this episode, and once again put together one side of a mixtape en route. I've chosen a selection of tracks that really remind me of this time, and it was a magical time in history. It's easy to forget actually just how massive the rave movement was back in 92. Aside from the immense power of the underground movement and pirate radio stations galore, even the mainstream music world was flooded with this energy. In 1992, in the UK charts and being played on commercial radio stations, we had The Prodigy, SL2, Liquid with Sweet Harmony, Urban Hype, Kicks Like a Mule with The Bouncer, Alternate, Shut Up and Dance with Raving I'm Raving, and that Ebenezer Good track. Outside of the charts, being laid down on Technics decks every week in clubs. It was new tune after new tune, creative, timeless tracks being produced at an incredible rate. DJs have become stars, but tastefully. I say that because although DJs to youngsters like me were sort of like gods back then, the whole thing just seems to be laced with a bit less ego than I've observed in later times. Now, having said that, 1992 saw an explosion of the most incredible outdoor rave events in history. Enormous, now legendary events like Fantasia, World Dance, Universe, Dreamscape, Rain Dance. Massive events, the likes of which in such abundance we could only dream of these days. Fantasia's One Step Beyond event in July 1992 was held at the Castle Donington Raceway. Over 25,000 ravers had it all night at that event. These huge parties had multiple tents, mind-warpingly big sound systems, fairground rides, fireworks, merchandise stalls. They were incredible, a truly magical experience, and all for 25 quid. I've said it before, but back then it just felt like something wonderful had been born. It felt like it would last forever and change the world. Sadly, as we all know, that wasn't quite to be, although it did change us forever and it left us with some great memories and great music. Talking of which, let's get started with this 92 set. Time to lay the first track down and kick this off. I'll remind you as always, the full mix will be available very soon after this episode. Keep an eye out for that, it'll be in the next video. This first tune is a classic number conjured up by Reckless, featuring a vocal sample from Kid and Play's Do This My Way and those high energy piano stabs.
I think it's time to make the floor burn. I think it's time to make the floor burn. I think it's time. I think it's time. I think it's time to make the floor burn.
Time to make the floor burn on Pulsate Records. Once the drums kick in on this tune, it just slams. Such a punchy and positive energy.
I think it's time to make the floor burn. I think it's time to make the floor burn. I think it's time. I think it's time. I think it's time to make the floor burn. I think it's time to make the floor burn. I think it's time to make the floor burn. I think it's time. I think it's time. I think it's time to make the floor burn.
This is another one of them records we had in a bag at a mate's house. We'd pull it out time and time again. God only knows what that copy's like now. Those records were laid out all over the place and we were all smoking over the decks. Probably mullered. This fluty rave stab here is just quality.
It's time to make the floor burn.
Playing this track and thinking back to them big outdoor events, I remembered what an epic mission it was going to one. If you didn't live close, it was a case of where we're going to stay, not just who's going to drive there. A group of us went to a Universe gig in '92, which was in Bath, which is bloody miles from where we live. There weren't no way even the most courageous psychonaut was going to drive home from there at 9 AM. So we all crashed at a mate of a mate's house who lived somewhere in Bath. Obviously, crashing at someone's house after an all-nighter basically just all means sleeping on the floor for half the next day just to get your heads together. And as an adult, all I can say is that their parents must have been a lot more lenient than I would be with my kids and their mates. Imagine what the living room smelt like. On that stinky note, let's cue up the next track for the first mix. This is a cheeky number by Corp, being Sean Dunn and Kevin Brooks. Short little run together, crossing over just as the Reckless tune runs out.
Floor burn. I think it's time to make the floor burn.
This is the Dreamfinder remix on Tone Deaf Records. Those powerful, slightly tango-y stabs there at the start, and then pushing forwards with a very exploratory feel. For some reason, this track makes me think of this weird house I used to have at Chesington World of Adventures. It had like these confusing bent mirrors and distorted architecture, strange holograms and weird disorientating music playing. Even the record's centre label's a little bit Alice in Wonderland. Right, let's get to the next mix. This track's on the same label as another favourite of mine, one that featured in the Stearns episode. We have a little short run again, taking advantage of a little breakdown section, coming in about halfway through the Dreamfinder track. This is Daydreamer by Jelly, and it's on Hamster Records. That favourite tune I mentioned, also on this label, being Terrorise, It's Just a Feeling. So that powerful entrance soon breaks open to this high alert section there, being yelled at from all directions. And then we get a taste of where the tune's title comes from. A sample pulled from Daydream Believer by the Monkees. A nice feel-good tune from the 60s. The official video is worth watching on YouTube just for the comically bad miming and tambourine work. Whilst we're on the subject of daydreaming, I remember being at one of the big events. Might have been World Dance. But one of the blokes who was part of a wider group of slightly older lads was one of them people who always got just a level or two more destroyed than everyone else. Every group has one, don't they? But I recall walking over towards him on a patch of grass just outside one of the main tents, where he was clearly trying to get to grips with the 3D world. And the mate I was with just asked him a question, and we just watched with mildly concerned amusement as he fumbled around trying to wind the window down on his imaginary car to speak to us. First and only time I've seen that. Anyhow, on to the next tune. This is a track by Urban Hype, and it's on the same release as Trip to Trumpton, but it tightly blows that tune out of the weeds. I've dropped it in so we get the full run of the intro, and so the jelly tune runs out at just the right time. This track is I Feel the Heat, and it's a big smile tune. We have that bassy drop right at the start and the drums kicking off for a run. And then we hit piano heaven, which literally takes your breath away on a big system. The vocals roll in and then the drums just layer up and up.
I feel the heat. I feel the heat. I feel the heat. I feel the heat. I want your body. I feel the heat. I feel the heat. I want your body.
Man, I love this tune. I played this episode's mix in my car at full tilt yesterday, and when this tune broke out I was just like, I'm alive! I said earlier, some of these big rave events had funfair rides. It's nuts looking back, because I literally can't think of anything worse than being spun around and flung upside down at a time like that. Although, to be fair, I'd rather be waterboarded than go on a fairground ride at the best of times. But clearly, there were much stronger stomachs out there than mine. So it's time to follow this banger up with another beauty. Many of you will know this as soon as you see the label. This is a track that got a lot of playtime on the decks back in '92. The Urban Hype tune blesses us with another run of that piano. And just as it drops off, we throw this track straight into the mix. This is Energizer 2, which was Dave Charlesworth. And this is an essential tool in any old school hardcore DJ's tool bag. What a rocket-fueled mashup of rave samples and flavours, leaping from one to another, like from that to this. And from that to this monster drop. This tune is just a danglies in any set. It's absolutely ripping. Like this beautiful layback here, total rave energy, and this exquisite drum sequence exiting. I love this section here with this chunked up wider take on 0B, which then just rolls back and drops into the original sound. Sounds like you've just been transported back a year and dumped into the club. With a track like this that just chops and swaps all over the place, you can literally lob something in and it will sound completely fitting. That's what I'm going to do. Now this next tune I have two copies of, one on the original blue press and another which is a repress. I tend to keep the original tucked away and safe, but I'll show the blue label on screen. So as the Energizer track dips down now to a final clean run, and I literally chuck this next boomer straight in. Joint project, Total Feeling, another 92 rave anthem, and one that really takes me back to those massive tents, overlooking a sea of thousands of ravers. I remember a mate of ours who came to one of these large events with us, literally disappeared for the whole night. You know, they sort of all travelled down together, hang tight for the first half hour, till things started to get a little bit lively. Then you just like splinter off on your own mad adventure for hours. Anyway, got to morning, you know when you're like wandering around from tent to tent, trainers wet from the morning dew, looking like rabbits in headlights trying to find your buddies. And from this big tent, from the crowd, stumbled this mate of ours, looking like he just stepped out of one of them G-force centrifuge things that fighter pilots come in. But his bottom lip was like swollen up something crazy, like one of them weird looking fish. He'd been chewing away on his lip for the last 6 hours on the dance floor. Absolutely mullered it. Now, I can't remember what the outcome for him was, but I do remember us sympathetically crying with laughter on the way back in the car. The fact that he was going to have to go home and explain how his night was so awesome, he tried to eat himself. This next section of the Total Feeling track is lovely. We have this beautiful rich piano section coupled with this vocal that just rolls and rotates. And that leads us into the next mix and into a massive rave anthem, both by nature and name. It's time to bring out the Formation Records and run it alongside the piano until the vocal drops us out. DJ SS and EQ being Leroy Small and Mark Yoroth. And this tune is DJ's Anthem Volume 1. Much like the Energizer track, this is a real wallop of a rave tune, delivering high energy punches like that twisted manic sample there, and these snappy tango-esque stabs. A real fast-paced belter this is, so much so that you need to really be on it as a DJ, because this is a short track coming in at only 3 minutes 45 at standard pitch. Later we hit this powerful tasty blame sample. Such a classic sound of the era that, and such a driving tune. It's time to line up the next mix, and we're hitting hard and fast with more signature sounds of 92 here. Once again, many of you will know this tune as soon as you see the label. It's one of a number of all-time legendary tunes by Acen. Now I've taken advantage of a little drop into clean drums at the back end of the Anthem track and timed it so the little exit vocal hands us over.
Forget your name. Just close your eyes. Go insane.
Close your eyes, Optikinfusion. The way those kind of dominator waves come through over that floaty stellar atmosphere. It's quality. I have a very vivid memory of this track early in the morning, bopping around outside one of the big tents. I can remember battling with a killer cramp in one of my calf muscles for about an hour. Something that happens occasionally when you've been bouncing the equivalent of 2 marathons, whilst not being a marathon runner. In fact, it's no wonder I look like a bloody pipe cleaner at that age. I can't imagine what having it every other week at an all-nighter would have added up to in burnt calories. But luckily, throughout the week, the munchies ensured we nutritionally supported all of that exercise with an athlete's diet of Kentucky Fried Chicken, McDonald's milkshakes and Galaxy bars. Now Acen takes us into another 1960s time glitch here with a classic Beatles sample, chilling the tune down momentarily until it rockets off again into oblivion.
Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say, here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say, here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I say, it's alright.
So on to my next selection for this 92 big rave journey. This tune is a beautifully uplifting positive energy from the start. The label won't necessarily give it away because my copy is a reissue on Warehouse Wax. However, the short little vocal run which I'll throw straight in will reveal all. Big smiles here. Lovely, eh? Never felt this way from Gem 77, which was Stephen Jones and Joel Bogan. Nothing but joy from this tune's piano entry there, really depicting for me the loving, unified buzz of 1992. Said before, try as you might, just can't relay the feeling we all had back then. Sense of togetherness and being a part of something incredible. If you think about it, it's amazing that 25,000 youngsters could attend an event like Fantasia's One Step Beyond. They'd have almost zero trouble. I read somewhere that a police officer had commented after the event, saying that there'd been less trouble than the usual race events held at that venue. That's because everyone was there for one thing, to have a great time. This Gem 77 track really carries that buzz, and it's a nicely produced tune. We've got this innovative sample here from the mighty Welcome to the Jungle tune from Guns N' Roses, a sound that's originally played by the legendary Slash on one of these bad boys. Really unique sample that for a rave track, but works nicely. This tune just keeps switching up but always holding that high energy. Now the next tune is one that holds a special place in my heart, and one I always associate with memories of wandering from rave tent to arcades, past people in weird costumes, I think, and the glorious portaloos. Yum. So I'm throwing this in just as the Gem 77 tune goes down a notch. A little run together and then using the vocal once again as our handover. Skanna and Ceasefire. Skanna being John Graham. Beautifully atmospheric track that just makes my body light up. This hauntingly gorgeous part here takes me back to standing up high on a raised platform area, right at the back of one of those enormous tents. Thousands of happy souls concentrated in one place. Massive sound system, mesmerising lights, and the momentary pause as this sound rumbled through our bodies. Mentioned people in costumes just now, which I'm sure there were. I'm pretty sure actually there were numerous people at Universe, for example, whose sole job it was to freak ravers out. I swear I remember sitting out in this little chill out area outside on like a deck chair and seeing this guy opposite with a pipe in his mouth reading a newspaper. And as if that wasn't weird enough, this little puppet started popping its head up and peering over the pages. Now, considering that my mate had tried to wind the window down on his invisible car, it is possible that happened in my head. So we're coming to the final tune for this 92 mix set, and I want to run this last one right from the start. So we'll let the Skanna tune roll right to the end. And I've left a very, very special tune to close this journey with. This tune, I don't even really have the words to adequately express how important I think this is to our rave history. I can try my best to tell you how much it means to me personally, but it's so much more than that. I've had numerous people since I started the channel actually asking me specifically what do I think about this tune. And from the very first time I heard this to laying it down this week in the mix, it's always sent a wave of warmth through my heart every time. It's one of the many essential landmarks in our music genre's timeline to be released on XL Records. Let's roll this in. Dub War Chapter 1. Huge gratitude going out to Adrian Shortman, Ashley Brown and James Hoyt of Dance Conspiracy. When asked, as I have many times, what my top 5 rave tracks of all time would be, I've always said it's too hard to do, there's just too many tracks to choose from. But I will say this for certain, this is absolutely in there. For me, this track just says everything there is to say about the scene at the time. The excitement, the love, the freedom. I don't know what kind of fairy dust got sprinkled as this was put together, but it's truly magical. Just close your eyes here and feel your soul expand beyond the boundaries of your body. As it opens up and the drums layer up. What a treasure this track is, man. Makes me want to cry. Friends, we need to keep pumping this energy into the world. This tune should be mandatory in all schools. So special. Thank you, Dance Conspiracy, and thank you to the XL Records crew. You did something very important there. Well, it's almost time to say goodbye again for a while. I hope you enjoyed this journey, perhaps had a few memories rise, felt some of the joy this music still lights in me. Look out for the full mix coming very soon in the next upload, where you can join me through the whole musical story. You know, I often wonder if any of you have experienced what I try to achieve with these mixes, by talking through my journey first in episodes like this, sharing why I've picked each particular record, what I love most about it, what memories are linked with it. You know, it creates something that fascinates me, and that's the way that bringing together of certain things can create something even greater than its individual parts, particularly when the glue that binds them is a meaning, a story. Every one of these mix sets on the channel so far contains so much more than just a bunch of rave tunes. They're each a tale of love and nostalgic celebration, a portrait of powerful experiences. And some of you may have felt those things if you've watched the full episode before listening to the mix. And you may have noticed something above and beyond just a collection of rave records. I've found the power of storytelling to be so important in my life. The scripts that we assign to all events can affect our experience. Makes me think about when I go to the gym and have a killer workout, and how for the next day or two that part of my body hurts like shit. Can hardly move it sometimes, and yet I'm happy about it. I like that pain. Why? Because of what that pain means. Means I had a good workout. Means the exercises worked. Means I'm getting stronger. Any other time, pain in my body like that would be horrible. In that case, what stories are we telling about our lives in general? Our pasts, our relationships, our balls ups, our emotional aches and pains. What do we make those things mean? The script makes all the difference, and we are the authors. So I'll say goodbye until next time, and send love out to each and every one of you. I'll catch you soon in the next episode.
Can we never tell you about the ragamuffin business and thing? Can we never tell you about the ragamuffin business and thing?
Then me never tell you about the ragamuffin business and thing.